Hey you girls, welcome back to my channel. So in this one I thought we could talk about instances in which it is not in your best interest to look your best. So on Kelly Rowland's internet we always talk about the importance of looking your best. You know, I've talked about it and I certainly do believe in looking your absolute best. You know, anybody who knows me in real life will tell you one thing that I do not believe in is looking like your problems. I don't care what I'm going through in life, I'm never going to look like it. Okay, I'm never going to be walking around actually looking like what I'm going through, because you know, if you wait until you don't have any problems in order to take care of yourself, you're just never going to take care of you. Okay, because life happens in cycle and we are always going through something. Okay, if you don't have problems anymore, then you're just not with us. Okay, then you are in the graveyard, because you know, once you solve your problem, you're going to get another one. Now granted, there are times where we have bigger problems and, you know, smaller ones, but generally we always have problems as, you know, human beings. So one thing about me, I'm always going to take care of myself. I'm always going to look my absolute best no matter what. However, you know, everything in life does have another side. You know, it's like a coin. There is a negative that comes, you know, with every positive. For example, if you were to get really wealthy, you could live your best life. You could travel to, you know, all the destinations that you ever dreamed to, the exotic ones. You could dine in the finest restaurants, buy anything you want, but you are going to have to deal with, you know, envy, jealousy, entitlement from friends and family members, you know, who will then probably refuse to pay their share when you guys go out for dinner because, you know, well, you got so much money so you can cover their end in their mind. You know, people coming into your house and taking your stuff, skincare, jewelry, you know, feeling entitled to it because, well, you got so much, right? Or people calling you constantly, begging you for money, asking you to pay for this and that and the third, asking you to give them this and that and the third, because again, you got so much money. So this is something that the entitlement of friends and family members is something that, you know, wealthy people, successful people talk about all the time. It's the one negative, or one of the many negatives that they have to deal with. So beauty also comes with a negative, even though in the grand scheme of things, I would say, you know, being deemed as, viewed as, perceived as attractive in society, you know, has more advantages than disadvantages. It still does have disadvantages, and the main one I would say is unknowingly provoking insecurity in people. Because, you know, one thing that I will always say, I wholeheartedly believe this, is that in the world we are right now going through an epidemic of low self-esteem. Maybe it's always been around and I never paid attention because I was part of it, but you know, the more I work on myself and really unapologetically accepting myself, the more I realize, you know, most people don't like themselves. Most people don't even know whom they are, right? And because of this, sometimes you can, especially if you're a very attractive person, awaken insecurity in people without even paying attention. I find that when people talk about pretty privilege a lot, they are talking about women who are attractive, but you know, more thanks to, you know, feeling confident in the clothes they wear and the way they style themselves. But I do find that there is a certain level of attractiveness. If you look like Kelly Rowland, for example, if you look like Nikki Tart, if you're someone who is just naturally attractive, if you look good without any makeup, if you got super clear skin, straight white teeth, if you could just put your hair in a bun and still attract attention naturally, I find that that type of beauty generally tend to awaken insecurity in people, women and men alike, right? Because we always talk about, you know, women, but that type of beauty does awaken insecurity in men as well. I will get into that, you know, later in the video. So if you are somebody like that, but just a woman in general, it don't matter. This video is really for everybody. These are the 3 instances in which I believe it is not necessarily in your best interest to look your absolute best, and it generally boils down to any situation where you are going to be subordinate, where you are going to have to deal with someone who is in a position of authority, of control over you, someone who can negatively affect your life, your future. You want to be mindful of how you are going to be presenting yourself in front of these people. So let's say, for example, that you are trying to start a new job. Okay, so you're going to start this new job, you went to the interview and you got it, and you don't really know, you know, the people who work there at all. You've never seen them, you don't know your supervisor. I would not advise, you know, coming into that new job, you know, wearing your highest Louboutin escarpin, very tight midi dress. Obviously, you know, no one is wearing mini dress to work. You know, putting on makeup, doing your hair, putting on all your jewelry and stuff. I don't think that that is a good idea. I think what you want to do at first is go to the job for 2 weeks and watch what is, you know, the company's culture. For example, maybe it's an office where all women tend to wear pants instead of skirts. Okay, so if all women who work in this office, or the majority of them, 85% mainly, most of the time, most days they wear, you know, dressy pants, then maybe you should follow along. You know how they say, when in Rome, do like the Romans? I think, you know, in this case, as someone, you know, I haven't worked a lot of corporate job, but the one corporate job that I work, I actually had this issue. So, you know, if there are 10 women who work in this office and they wear pants, I say do just like them. You also want to avoid, you know, heavy makeup, nails and stuff. If you are an attractive woman who work in a male dominated field, or just in a field where women are not taken very seriously, right? Because there is this stereotype that attractive women are not very smart. Now I don't know why, because really I know, you know, some attractive women who are very smart, the same way I know women who are not very attractive who are not very smart. So I don't see the correlation really between beauty and intelligence. But this is, you know, we all know the blonde joke and everything. This is really a stereotype that has been around since forever, and a lot of people believe it. So in order for you to advance yourself, and I know you guys, it is not fair, you should be able to style yourself the way you want, but in order to avoid this stereotype, people seeing you, you know, like the dummy, and, you know, the gossip spreading in the office that you only got there because of your looks, you want to tone down your looks a little bit. Now I'm not saying, you know, go there looking really raggedy, but, you know, you want to tone it down a bit until you can really, you know, prove yourself and, you know, show that you got on there in merits and not because of the way you look. I want to say that oftentimes when we have this conversation, we tend to put a hyper focus on women, in my opinion, and I understand why we do this, right? Beauty means, as society in general, more to women than it does to men, right? I mean, proof is in the pudding, you know. Isn't it sad that even in 2024, the biggest insult you can tell to a woman, you know, is how ugly she is, right? Especially if there is some truth to it. You know, if this is someone who is not deemed as conventionally attractive and you point it out, that is one of the biggest insults you can tell a woman. Still is in 2024, which I personally think is actually kind of sad. But men, right? Because for women, beauty is a commodity. Beauty can, you know, allow you access in spaces. It can, through a man perhaps of means, transform your life and your entire family's life. So I understand why, you know, beauty means so much to women. You know, I would say that, you know, money is the equivalent of beauty to men, but I don't think that women are the only one insecure women, right? Because the conversation always is geared toward unattractive women, and I understand why it is geared toward that, because perhaps they are the one who don't possess beauty. But I think that insecure women are the problem, not unattractive women, because a woman can be very, very attractive and still be insecure, and then she will be just as problematic as a woman who is not, you know, attractive. And some women who are not attractive according to society beauty standards still have very high level of esteem and, you know, are not problematic at all, not envious of beautiful women. So I think that the conversation has to change, you know, from unattractive women are haters and they hate beautiful women to, you know, women who don't have the high sense of self-esteem are problematic, period. No matter what they look like, no matter where they fare in the beauty hierarchy. But I'm saying all of this to say that men can be very problematic as well in the workspace. For example, if your boss is into you and you are not, you know, interested, this could lead to problems, you know, in the office. Like, he could want to retaliate in some way by sabotaging your career. So, you know, if you come to the office looking really nice and dandy and, you know, get your boss to, I mean, you can't get him to, but, you know, the way that you look gets him to be so interested in you that, you know, he makes his move and you're not interested. This could be detrimental to your career. Or even men who just don't feel worthy of you. I feel like this is something we never talk about, even though it's something that is so real. I feel like if you look really good as a woman, if you present in a certain way, you know, you can wait insecurity in men where they feel as, I could never get a girl like that, you know, when they're really attracted to you, but at the same time, you know, if they see you wearing, you know, really expensive item and stuff like that, being like, oh, I can't afford this woman, she would never be interested in someone like me, you know, if he's an insult, if he's insecure, if he's a loser. And you can be punished for that as well, as quiet as it kept, as sick as it is, you know. And this is why I tell women all the time, never get in relationship with men who feel deep down inside unworthy of you, because they will definitely punish you for that. Like, make no mistake, you will pay for getting in a relationship with a man who deep down inside feel unworthy of you, because men are not like women. Women, we internalize our insecurities, but men, you know, they externalize them. So please, no matter what you do, do not give the time of the day to a man who deep down inside does feel unworthy of you, okay? And the last thing that I'm going to say when it comes to office work is, if you're somebody, you know, like me, who got very expensive purses, you know, Fendi, Hermes, etc, etc, Gucci, do not wear them to the office on your first day of work. You know, go there first and see again, what is the company's culture, okay? What are the other women who work in the office doing, right? Because if they're all wearing Coach and Michael Kors bag, and no shade to Coach and Michael Kors, you know, there's nothing wrong with those brands, they're very respectable mid brands, but you know, if everybody in the office is wearing a brand that costs, a bag that costs, you know, $200, and you come with a bag that, you know, costs 10 times that, you know, which is the price of a Genesis from Gucci, for example, well, you know, you could wake up, you know, envy in some of the women, and if they all gang up against you, you know, your time there is going to be very, very miserable. Because if you have 6-7 women in the same department that hate on one person, baby, that is really, really going to make going to work every single morning a nightmare. So be mindful of that. Again, go to work for the first 2 weeks, toning it down. I say put your hair in a bun, you know, little to no makeup, especially if you have clear skin, you know, pants always, no skirts, a shirt, flats, and then go and see, you know, what are the other people doing, and then you can always adjust your style depending to, you know, company's culture. Or once you've established yourself as someone who is there, you know, for their brain and who's there on merit, then you can, you know, do whatever you want, okay? Now, another instance in which I believe it is not in your best interest to look your absolute best is if you are dealing with justice. Let's say, for example, that you drove under the influence, so you had a DUI and you have your day in court, and your lawyer told you, you know, who the judge was going to be, especially if the judge is a woman. I know you girls, but in this case I really have to say it, you have to be mindful of not coming there looking like a runway model, you know, with your Chanel bag, your highest heels, you know, looking absolutely impeccable, makeup on and stuff. Like, don't do that, okay? Because you may not only be punished for the DUI, you may actually be punished for the way you look, if and only if, again, you are dealing with a woman who is insecure when it comes to beauty. Yeah, she may punish you not only for driving under the influence, but also for the way you look. Because one thing about beauty, I find that, you know, people say, oh, beauty is inspirational, it's aspirational. Again, only if the person who is, you know, looking at you feel like if they put in the same amount of effort, they are going to get to look like the way you look, they're going to be able to get to your level, right? But again, if you look like Kelly Rowland, right, like, most people realistically, no matter what they do, are not going to look like that, right? So if you have that type of, you know, really hetero, untouchable type of beauty, you want to be really mindful, because you're not going to wake up like inspiration in people. People are not going to be inspired to put in the work, you know. They are going to be like, no matter what I do, I'm just not going to have endless legs to die for, and you know, nothing good can come out of that. So be mindful. If you have a court case and you are dealing with a person who is in a situation of power, you want to, you know, again, tone it down. I say always go with a bun, you know, it's safe. Yeah, where, you know, obviously you want to be neat, you want to be clean, you know, but you don't want to go like over the top to the point where you could, again, awaken an insecurity in the person who is going to sentence you. There were actually studies that prove that obviously being attractive does help in the sentencing. Actually, there were 2 studies. One of them proved that being light-skinned helped in the sentencing, in getting a shorter sentence, that darker skinned people tend to get harsher sentences. And then the other study proved that people who benefit from pretty privilege, so people who are a little more attractive, tend to also benefit from leniency when it comes to sentencing. But I personally believe that, you know, this is only true if you don't awaken the insecurity in the person who is going to judge you. So, you know, you want to look okay, but to the point where, you know, you could potentially benefit from the privilege of being able to get a lighter sentence, a slap in the wrist, I guess, hopefully in this case. But, you know, you don't want to look so good that, again, you would wake up an insecurity in the person who is judging you, and then ending up, you know, getting a harsher sentence and having to pay for, you know, something that you can do nothing for, which is your genetics and the way you were born and the way you look. Okay, you can control styling. Okay, so control that. Now, the last instance I'm going to talk about in this video is if you are going to deal with administration offices, if you are looking for a favor, especially like if you don't have all the documents that you need in order to get, you know, what you are looking for. In this case, I really say really tone it down. Well, first of all, look for a man. I don't care what anyone is gonna say, but if you go into a bureau and you can choose, like, you know, the box you actually go to and the person you're gonna talk to, I say if you're a woman and you're attractive, try to talk to a man. If you don't have any other choice, obviously talk to a woman. But it has been my lived experience that, you know, especially if you don't have like all the documents that you need for what you're looking for, I say, you know, avoid women and try to speak with a man. I find that they are more likely to do you a favor if you're attractive than, you know, women are. Now, obviously some of them may want your phone number, but, you know, you can just give it to them and then block them. Now, I know this is going to be controversial, and, you know, if this video does do any number, somebody's going to be in the comment section like, that's not right, blah, 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 blah. Listen, baby, men tell women every day they love them, they're going to marry them, blah, 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 ta, ta, ta. They promise them the world just to get into their legs. When they actually do get them pregnant, when they actually give them said baby that they promised, they vanish and they're nowhere to be found, okay? So I don't care, right? As long as no one is going to be out here actually telling men to do better, I'm not going to be here, you know, telling women anything. Do what you need to do to get to where you need to get in life, period. Okay, that's what this channel is all about. It's about getting your mental health all the way together, you know, elevating in life, elevating in social economical class. So I don't care. So don't waste your time, you know, with your morally blah, 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 blah. I don't actually care about society rules. Society doesn't pay my bills, okay? So until the day it does, I'm gonna do what works for me. Thank you, right? So where was I? Avoid, you know, women if you can. If you can't, well, obviously then make sure that you have all your documentation in order. First of all, let's say for example that you're looking for a green card, right? Like, let's say you're an immigrant. For example purposes, this is semantics, right, you guys? There are a lot of possible situations that this video could apply to, so don't get too caught up on the details. But let's say you're an immigrant in America looking to get a green card. In this instance, still, I don't think that you should look your absolute best, because if you're going to be dealing with a woman, for example, let's say that you can't choose who you're going to deal with, a man or woman, you don't want to wake an insecurity into her. Like, you know, you don't want to come in there. For example, let's say that you're someone who has a lot of jewelry, fancy expensive bag, Gucci, Fendi, blah blah blah, ta ta ta, right? If you wear all of that and walk in there, and this is actually a true story from my actual life, you guys, you're gonna wake up an insecurity in this woman. And hopefully then, I hope for you that you have all of your documentation in order and that your case is airtight, okay? Because if it's not, you're not going to get it, period, okay? So again, I had to deal with this, and, you know, luckily I had everything that I needed so this person could do anything. But I could tell, you guys, by the way this woman was looking at me, okay, that, baby, if there was any form of problems, you know, with my case, she would just be like, no ma'am, okay, bye bye. So sayonara, okay? So if you're gonna go into any office looking for any type of papers, whether it's for your car or I don't know, whatever, a birth certificate, I don't know, I don't care, okay? Make sure you know what you're doing. Hopefully you can speak to a man. If you can't and you need to speak to a woman, make sure you have all your documentation in order. If you don't, do not look your absolute best, because, well, it may not work out for you the way you think it will. There are many different, you know, other instances in which looking your absolute best is not in your best interest. But what I want you guys to remember is that, you know, if you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be kind of a subordinate and you're going to be dealing with someone who is in a situation of power over you, be mindful of styling. This is a mistake that I personally have made couple of times, you know. Sometimes, like I said, like the one time where I was going to the immigration office here in Germany, so I wanted to tell you guys, be mindful, you know, of the way you present yourself when dealing with someone who is in a situation of power over you, because you don't know if they're insecure. They may actually, you know, act that insecurity out onto you and, you know, make your life miserable, which wouldn't have happened or if you had styled yourself perhaps a little bit differently. Again, this channel is about realistic come up, okay? So if you are a dark-skinned black woman or just a woman in general who want to elevate in society, who want to strategize in order to move in social economical class, just move neighborhoods, perhaps get a better job, date, you know, men that have a little bit of more means, you know, wealthier, well-to-do men, do not forget to subscribe to my channel, because I will be coming up with that content soon. Do not forget to like in the comment section down below. Let me know, you know, what do you think? Do you think that, you know, we always have to be politically correct and follow, you know, society's guideline, or like me, do you feel, hey baby, you know, you gotta do what works for you, period? That's on my mind to live. And I will talk to you guys Friday. Bye guys, thanks for watching. Mwah.